Hi.
Hi, Juliet. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
It's nice to see you. It's been a long
And
time.
you? I know, ages.
I think
What
it was
weird
this.
scenario to be meeting in.
I know, definitely. I think it was it the start of last year when I met you at the it was the Mothers Meeting event, wasn't it? Or Mother Care Mothers
Yeah,
Meeting. Yeah. Fabulous.
yeah, I
Well,
think so.
thank you so much for joining me today.
No
Um,
worries.
of course, saw your story and I was like, oh my goodness, need to know more about that. So I'll just do a quick intro to you. So everybody who's watching, this is Juliet Oldfield. She's an actress and mother, and here to talk about your most recent experience giving birth, which is just
Yeah,
super emotional. But first,
good.
before we get on to that, just a bit of background about you and your career, sort of everything, films that you featured in, stuff like that.
O- Okay, cool. Best known for my role probably when I played Tom Hardy's girlfriend in Bronson.
Yeah, we've
That
all
she's
seen that one.
most most people always ask me about how that was.
How was
And then
that?
I've done. Well, actually, that was my first ever job, like big job out of drama school. So it
Yeah,
was it was throwing me in the deep end a
that
little
is
bit.
fantastic. Yeah,
But amazing, obviously, very lucky to get that role as my first ever on-screen job.
yeah,
And then from there, I've done things like Top Boy on
yeah,
Channel 4. That was brilliant. And then I did a Sky drama, Critical,
yeah.
where yeah, that was quite recently. And then most recently, I've been called Midwife. And my character,
Yes.
yeah, which is very weird because my character was building up the storyline, and then I gave birth on my own. And I
Wow.
was filming that
Yeah.
just when I found out I was pregnant, just really early
Right.
stages.
That's
So
quite
it's
spooky, isn't it?
yeah, it's a bit of a parallel,
Yeah.
which I wouldn't have anticipated, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, done lots of on the screen and mainly TV and the film, then theatre.
Yeah. Brilliant. So you've had a really successful career so far. I'm sure lots to
Oh,
come. And you've also got your two beautiful daughters. Of course,
I have.
yes. And so what have you named your newest baby girl?
Oh, so I haven't told anybody yet, but
Oh,
I
have you
will.
not? Oh, okay.
No,
You don't have to reveal.
no. Well, I have obviously no, just not on. Her name's Ada.
Ada.
Ada. So
Oh,
we've got Amelie and
beautiful.
Ada. Thank you.
Lovely, lovely, lovely names. And yeah, so you're here today to talk about your experience giving birth to Ada. And it was quite traumatic in some ways and really emotional for you because obviously this current situation, COVID-19 is crazy. It's like stopped the world, but it has also stopped a lot of things that are considered normal when giving birth, like your partner coming in whilst
Yeah.
that's happening. So I guess, yeah, just talk us about this surreal moment. How, what did the nurses say to you? What was the reasoning?
Well, the thing was, is when I was due to have baby, if you look at the now graph that the government have put out, I was literally at the peak. The day I was in hospital was the peak of the virus. And so my husband, technically at that time in the hospital where I was in, he could have come. But what the issue we had was we had nobody to look after our daughter. So
Yeah,
nobody could have looked after Amelie safely without any possible risk to them or to us. And we just didn't feel we could have that responsibility. It was
yeah,
like, to any family or any friends, they would either be potentially bringing it to us or we could be bringing it to them. And especially after coming out of the hospital,
yeah,
I was then obviously quite a high risk because I'd been in contact with lots of people and been in an area where obviously there were, COVID patients. Um, so we thought about it for a couple of weeks. We bounced around different ideas, like we're trying to come up with some safe scenario. And every time we tried, we just came against a hurdle. And so in the end, we just decided. I talked to my parents about it. I talked to friends, and then really the main, like my husband obviously was really supportive of it, but the midwives, every time I spoke to them, they were like their response was that if you can do it on your own,
yeah,
then that is the best option. It's the
yeah,
safest. And it would be the most in at the time the most responsible.
yeah.
So
Well, it
just
minimalizes the risk then, doesn't it? Because of course,
exactly.
COVID is all about, you know, coming into contact with people, and that's how you catch it. And it's such a sensitive situation. You wouldn't want anything to sort of get in the way. So when you were going into hospital, what were your concerns? Because of course you are going into this area, like you say, full of COVID patients. You know, what were your concerns? Was it all separated out for pregnant women? And
They were really clever, actually. So one thing that they were brilliant about was that they kept saying you can call as many times as you need. You know, the community midwives were just like, don't think a question is too small, don't go to sleep worrying. That was what my midwife kept saying to me. It's like, so and if you need to, like, I wrote down loads of questions and then gave them a call and stuff. So they were really reassuring in that sense. But then what they'd done in our hospital is, where normally you'd have like a midwife led ward, they dedicated that to COVID. So you didn't come into contact. So you literally went up to the reception and turned one way to go if you had no symptoms, and the other way if you did.
Wow. Okay.
That, I think that has actually now changed, because they've now got the testing in place where if you come in, you get an automatic test.
Right.
So, but when I was, like I said, this was only just over 5 weeks ago, it has changed obviously every day. But at that point, it was really new. Definitely divided. And they did also, as soon as I arrived, I was taken, you know, you call up to say where you are in stages of labour, and they were expecting me. So they then just showed me straight in to a room. But the walk to the room was very weird.
I bet, because usually, I mean, you've done this before, you know, you've got your other daughter. So I guess the first time that you had your baby, you were there with your husband and possibly more family members. So this time it was super different. You were on your own. Yeah.
So this, and also because they obviously, you know, I had to just get on with it myself. They showed me where I had to go. I had to walk down this hallway, and the hallway, obviously being in labour, felt doubly as long as it was anyway. But nobody, they weren't, you know, the nurses and doctors weren't suddenly shocked that I was there on my own. They were obviously, I don't think I could have been the first person.
Right, okay.
And they were, you know, used to it, but they were all gowned up in the, you know, in the protective gear.
That was a bit scary.
Very. And I wore a mask and gloves as well.
So you had all the PPE with you, and had they advised for you to get that in place before you came in, or?
You know, but then it gave me some certainty, like security. It just made me feel better, because knowing from when I obviously had my first baby, is that when you need to hold things, you know, like in the middle of a contraction, you need to grab something, and you're not, oh, my hands might get dirty if I grab a handle, or if I grab and I thought, I'm going to be on my own. I'm not going to be able to grab my husband or my mum or whoever. So I'm going to, you know, whatever, need to do it myself. So having gloves meant that I could do it without any worry. And then also, sorry.
Go on, carry on.
No, once I was in the room as well, and I shut the door, I did feel better immediately. You know, once I had my own cocoon, I suppose, that I, you know, was felt comfortable in.
And I, you know, it's quite an uncomfortable situation anyway, but with the added factor of being in the hospital at this time, where there is the risk of infection because of COVID-19, I suppose it's even more heightened, isn't it, really?
Massively.
Which is very scary. So I guess before you, well, actually, how long was labour for you? Was it quite a long one? At what point were you when you had to go into the hospital?
Sadly, it was long. It wasn't. They always say the second one's meant to be easier. It wasn't. No, so I went in. What sort of time? I sort of about 5ish, maybe, in the afternoon. And then she wasn't born until 6:26 the following morning. Really? And so that was a long time.
It's a long time.
And there was a point where I was on my own as well, in the room for about 4 hours, when the midwife had to go off and actually deliver another baby.
Oh my gosh, really? Is that quite? Is that quite normal that they'll sort of flick in between the two,
I
or do you
don't
think?
know.
Yeah.
I Normally you have a midwife with you the entire time.
Hmm.
Well, certainly in the when I had Emily and when I was in the hospital that I was in. But I suppose maybe they were busy. You don't know when a labour ward obviously gets busy and then quiet, and it just happened to be that
Yeah.
was the way it was. But I was left with a buzzer and my gas and air.
Good. So you were
That's
well
what
equipped then. Yeah.
I was
You knew
well
what you were
equipped.
doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Gosh, it must have been, really quite unnerving though. I mean, with everything
Really,
that's going on. And I guess doctors and nurses are quite stretched anyway. Which hospital was it that you were in?
it's Kingston
It's
Hospital.
Kingston.
They were brilliant. They were really good. And did
Yeah.
everything they possibly could. Even at points FaceTiming my husband for me when I couldn't do it.
Oh,
So
wow, that's so nice, isn't it? And I
which
guess
was brilliant.
you probably had so there was one midwife there who was with you throughout. And I suppose in a way you sort of form a relationship with that person, don't you?
Yeah, and her name was Lizzie, and I don't think I'll ever forget her face. And when
Oh,
at the point of when she was amazing, and at the point of when I was gonna, having Emily, and it got quite Ada, I should say, it got quite scary at that point because I think the reality hit me. So before then, I actually used the time on my own. I had a brilliant playlist going that my friend had made me. I had loads of snacks of my favorite things, and I was
yeah.
FaceTiming my mum and dad, FaceTiming
Oh,
my
bless
husband's
you.
friends. It was like a bit like a disco. I was
Yeah,
just like, well, I've got to do
yeah.
this.
What better way to give birth?
I should have got you to do some DJing for
I
me. I should
know.
have,
You could have FaceTime me. We could have done this bit
you
earlier and I
you
got my
could have done
decks on.
it. That would have been brilliant. It would have been
Yeah.
brilliant. But then when it started to like really kick in, and I had to obviously like the pain go through the roof,
Yeah.
as anyone else. Yeah. It's just the way it is with labour.
Yeah.
I then panicked. I definitely went into a panic mode, and that was when I was like, "Oh my God, why haven't I got somebody here with me that I can grab hold of,
Yeah.
or somebody that knows me that could like, hold secure me or
Yeah.
give
And
me
you'd just
comfort here
feel
and
that
there."
extra bit of comfort, really, wouldn't you?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. But then that was when Lizzie, my midwife, I just was like, I just kept, I won't say it on here, but I was deafening and blinding, so like trying to get, I was like, come on, Lizzie. I was like, I've never, I've met her that day, and I'm going through one of the most personal experiences ever. And
Yeah.
that woman just meant the absolute world to me in that time. She wasn't just my midwife at that moment. I was like,
Yeah.
I need you for dear support. So,
Yeah. Well, she's sharing a super personal experience with you. But I mean, so in terms of Lizzie, do you think you will stay in contact with her? I mean, how do these things work? I mean, I guess that's just her normal job, really. She's doing that all the
yeah.
time. But I guess you're so thankful for her presence there.
I will definitely, because I've not long been signed off from the hospital, but I've planned to put, like, I've been asking them what little like care packages and stuff I can send in,
Yeah.
to say thank you. But no, I'd like to think that it would be, I know other people that have kept in touch with their midwives, and I
Yeah.
think I will. And then my community midwife as well. She's been fantastic, Maureen, and we've exchanged numbers, in fact. So I think we
Yeah.
probably
Oh,
will
that's
stay
so
in touch.
lovely. So I guess as well, um, were you given other options other than going into the hospital? Because of course, one of the first things that you might think when you're pregnant during this time is, oh, I prefer to have my baby at home. Were you given that option? Did you even want to do that?
Sadly,
Yeah.
I did consider it, and I hadn't considered it before because I just felt before the virus and everything. I always felt safer in the idea of being in a hospital, um, but unfortunately for me, I couldn't do it because home births was kind of suspended in our area at
Right.
that
Okay.
time. But they have now gone. You can now have it again,
Yeah.
which is a bit of a bummer. But
Yeah.
the reason but there was that also threw up some problems for us as well because obviously our daughter would have been in the house. And you're not always, to have shielded her completely from that would have been quite hard, because
Yeah.
she might have been awake at the
Yeah.
time when, and we couldn't, if we could have had a friend or family member for her, then that would have solved that. And also, as it happens, my experience, I needed to be in hospital. I didn't know that, obviously, but
Yeah.
I did actually need to. But I think a lot of people are considering home births at the moment.
Yes, and that is totally understandable. But I
Definitely.
guess, like you say, there are certain situations where, you might have to stay in hospital after the
Mm.
birth, if you've had a particularly hard labour. So, yeah, there's
Yeah, I
also.
did. I had to stay in.
Oh, did you?
I had to
So
stay in an extra night.
what
Mm.
happened there?
Well, I lost a lot of blood. Not very, not very
Yeah.
nice. And so because of that, they wanted to just keep an eye on us and like monitor
Right.
me. But my anxiety at that point, I must admit, was not the best,
Yeah,
because
I
I
bet.
was both. Firstly, it was just like, well, if I stay in, it means that my husband can't meet baby on the first day she's born. So that was another big blow in a way.
Yeah.
Um, and and the idea of being on a ward just wasn't, I couldn't cope with. So they
Yeah.
were really good, and there was actually, they were doing all they could to obviously put people in their own rooms. So I had my own room, which meant that I felt slightly safer, I suppose, in it, because
Yeah.
less. But then there were still people coming in and out of the room, obviously to do stuff.
Yeah,
And
to check
every
on you
time
and
somebody
everything.
walked, yeah, and every time somebody walked in the door, I did feel slightly on edge, I suppose.
Yeah, my
But
goodness. Okay. So, and you say, so of course that happened, and your husband wasn't allowed to come in there with you, and, for the best and safest reasons. So, when was it that he actually got to meet your new baby girl?
the day after. So
The
it
day
was
after.
actually my birthday as well. She was born
Oh,
on my birthday.
wow.
So
Okay. Well,
so
that's
I had
pretty special. I mean,
it was
it's
it
nice.
was an odd birthday, definitely one I'll remember.
Yeah.
Definitely. But no, it was the following day. And so it was about lunchtime the next day. So that was really weird. And he
Yeah.
still couldn't come into the hospital because of our little girl. So because children weren't allowed in.
Yeah.
So one of the midwives very kindly helped me and baby down outside, and we met in the car park, and that was like the first
Oh my
time,
goodness. Isn't that so
which was
bizarre? It's not the normal situation at all, is it really? But
no,
thankfully,
not at all.
you gave birth completely safe, and she's a healthy, lovely new baby, isn't she?
Yeah, yeah,
And
it's
how is she
amazing.
doing now?
Oh, she's brilliant. She's growing very well. She's really different to our first. That's what I find amazing already, that you can see that she's already got her own little personality, completely different to our
Oh,
other daughter,
wow.
which is mad, that considering she's only Diddy. But no, she's very good, very alert and smiling and stuff already. It's just strange having a newborn now in this scenario, though.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
Really weird. You can't share anything with
Yeah.
family and friends.
Yeah, no, I
So that
bet so, because I mean, I bet your whole family's, yours and your husband's families, the first thing they want to do is come around and see the baby. But yeah, and I suppose, how are you managing that? Are you just FaceTiming? Are you doing
we've
like social
done
distance hello at the end of the drive? What are you doing
we've
with
done a
that?
couple of those. We've done a couple of the, from a distance, which is bittersweet, if you know what I mean, because
Yeah.
obviously it's something, but it's also makes it slightly, it highlights as well what we're having to do.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely tearing my parents apart.
I
They
bet.
are, and my husband's parents, it's really hard. Like, all of her first pictures are of either Zoom pictures, FaceTime pictures of like putting her up to or from a distance. And it will be a story to tell her, but it is really, really hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And also it's just the not knowing how long this is going to go for, because she changes day to day. And I just keep thinking, oh my goodness, is she going to literally be crawling and
Yeah,
or
I bet.
no longer, like I don't know, before she really meets anybody.
Yeah, well,
And
that's
that's hard.
it. That's it. And that's, yeah, it's quite a hard thing to come to terms with, really, because it's, you know, I suppose some of the first moments are the most special ones, but
Definitely.
you know, we're just thankful though that she is safe and she's all healthy and you're safe and healthy, and you know, that's the main thing, I guess.
Is that,
But
yeah, you definitely,
go on.
definitely. No, 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 you go.
I was going to say, so you know, obviously it's emotional, and I want to hear what your husband's perspective on it was, because I bet on his side he's just like edging to get in there. He wants to be in the hospital. What did he say to you afterwards?
He's he was brilliant, whereas he didn't make it about himself at all, which
Yeah.
was very pleased about. Because I think if he had, then I don't know if I, you know, he just gave me all I needed, the support, and said, you know, just get in there. What I think he said was, get in there, get it done, and get out.
Yeah.
Get back to us as
Do
quickly as
your
you
job,
can.
girl.
Yeah, yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, that, and then obviously once it was hard, I think, the fact that we didn't go out the first day. And with that, he actually, we got quite excited because the room that I was in was backing onto a car park and had a lovely big window. And I said to him, oh my gosh, if you come to the car park, I can hold baby up to the window and you can wave from the car park. And so they did that. And it was, and what we didn't really think about, now it's pretty obvious, is that it was a mirrored window. So I could see them, but they couldn't see me.
No.
I was just like, yeah, that was really hard.
Yeah, because you
Because,
just don't need that, do you? Because you're thinking, I'm gonna, you know, we're gonna see each other,
yeah,
and then
even a wave.
there's that
Yeah,
that gets in the
I was
way.
like, and
It's
we were,
like
and
something out of a movie, isn't it? It's like you couldn't write
oh,
that.
no, and also to do that, because it'd only been hours after giving birth, and physically to even stand up and hold her by the window was enough in itself. And then for it to be for nothing was, yeah, pretty hard. And it was really sad for our daughter because she's 4. She was excited to see her baby sister. And that was just, you know, we kind of understood. And she was just like, what? Why can't I go inside? Like,
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, what were the sort of things that Amelie was asking? Was she, you know, because she's obviously super excited about her new baby sister, and then she wasn't
I
able
think
to
she
be there.
now sadly understands about the virus, which I think
She
we
she
tried to,
does understand, does she?
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
Well, she's at school, and so from going from suddenly not being in school to then
Yeah.
not being able to even then go to and see grandparents, and not being able to go to her swimming class, and not
Mm.
being able to all the things that were very normal for her, we couldn't just pretend nothing was happening. So
Yeah.
we've done our best to describe it in a very child-friendly way,
Right.
not to make her afraid of it, but aware of it. So that obviously when we're even walking around the area and she bumps into a friend and things on, you know, we don't want her to run up to them straight away.
Yeah.
So she's had to know really, to a degree, and she understood. We didn't really explain why I was going in the hospital on my own, because for her it didn't she didn't know that like daddy should have been there with me or somebody else should have, you know, so we didn't explain that part. I suppose we just said mummy's going to go in, and
Yeah.
then when I come out I'm going to be with baby sister. But the problem we had was that I didn't realize I was going to stay in overnight again, and so we told her that I'd be coming out that day, and then when I wasn't, that was when it was a blow, because
Yeah.
she just like, what, I've waited, I've been,
Oh,
you've told
bless
me. And
her. Oh, she
yeah,
just
so,
wanted to see you and your baby.
well, I know, and she did say about a few days after us being home, and this hurt a little bit. She said, "Oh, you know, there's not much fun having a baby sister when you can't show all your friends." And it was,
Oh.
oh,
Yeah, because I
yeah,
bet she's at that stage, being 4 years old, of, you know, look at this, look at this, look what I've done, and, you know, showing everybody what she can do. And if she's got a new
definitely.
baby sister, wow, that's just, you
That's
know,
big news.
yeah, it's huge news. My goodness. So, yeah, I suppose that leads on to the topic of, like, you know, so for Amelie, schooling, she won't be at school anymore. How are you feeling about the future? I mean, obviously it's very early days yet for Ada, but on that topic, like, how are you feeling, and what do you think will happen for the future?
I every day it changes. I think like the rest of the world. You're literally, my opinion on it. changes constantly.
Yeah.
I think I feel very nervous for the kids and feel nervous for Emily, and knowing, what's this doing to her socially and emotionally,
Yeah.
because you know a lot of, at this age, their learning is through play and through interaction and with their peers and stuff. And obviously I'm doing my best at homeschooling, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
hard with a newborn,
Yes, I
and hard
bet.
with just with general life and stuff. But I don't know. I'd like to think that it can go back to some form of new normal, but I don't know. Like, I know schools are planning to potentially open in June, and I'm torn as to whether I'm going to send her in or not, because I need to feel more secure about
Yeah.
how's it all going to be laid out, how are they going to keep them as safe as possible, and also not make it as, I don't want it to traumatize her, that
Yeah.
she's gone. The last time she was in her classroom, she was playing around the classroom with all the children freely, apart from obviously when they meant to sit down and listen,
Yeah.
and which I'm sure she did.
They just have loads of
But
fun when they go there.
yeah, exactly. That's what I like to think.
Yeah.
And then she's going to go in, and it's going to be like, oh no, you got to stay away from your friends, and
It'd be
you
odd.
can't. Yeah, it's going to be really odd, especially at that young age. I can't quite understand how they're. I get what the thinking is behind the fact that little ones need that interaction, like
Yeah.
personal, to see their teacher. But the whole thing of them going in first when it's going to be such a big deal for them to understand, I can't understand the reason for that, why the little ones are going in,
In
and you know what I mean, like
first. Yeah.
why they're going in first. I don't understand,
Yeah.
but
I suppose it would be
process
hard
behind
for them to make sense of it all anyway. So the added pressure of that, I guess, is, it's,
it.
I suppose it may not help really. But also, I suppose, how do you feel about going back to school and then also coming home? There's a newborn there. Are you worried about the risk of, there's going to be lots of other kids at the school, and if you don't know what their home situations are like, are you worried about the spread of the virus in that sense?
Well, yes, I am. But you going on what everybody is saying is that children obviously don't have it as bad as adults tend
Yeah.
to. But it's just that all the unknown. I feel like it's so new, that it's hard to think, well, what if in a year's time they say, well, actually, in fact, the children, it was a different situation to
Yeah.
what we know at the moment. As things develop and new science comes in and stuff, I don't know what to believe, I think, is the honest truth. And I don't think, and I am worried about the fact that if she comes in, and even if she doesn't get a bad response from it, but it comes in, a newborn can be affected by it, or even I get affected by it, and
Yeah.
then I've got to look after them.
That's it. Yeah.
And then you can't then get help because you can't have family members. My husband's been at home because he's not been able to work from home, so he's been furloughed. So and also we had to make the decision of his office. He could go in and out of his office still, and with me being pregnant at that time, I was on the list of being, needing to be, on the vulnerable list. And there was just no way he could go back and forth into an office
No.
and then come in. It's
Yeah.
risky, I suppose. I
Gosh,
think
it's
there's
such
always
an
going to be
uncertain time, isn't it?
massively,
Yeah.
massively. But I don't think anybody knows,
No,
really.
no. I mean, it's really hard to tell what will happen. And yeah, I suppose, with your husband being furloughed, it's not all, bad, because he can be at home, like you say, to give you a hand, and help with homeschooling as well.
Yeah, he's
So
picking the girls up right now, in fact.
oh,
Otherwise, they'd have probably been
oh, that's
screaming in the
great.
background. So, yeah, it's quite
Giving you a bit
handy.
of you time to do what you need to
Yeah,
do, and that's
exactly.
great. Oh,
No, yeah, I couldn't have done it actually if he hadn't have been at home, to be honest. It would have
yeah,
been, because you're so used to when you have a newborn, then the first things that you do is like friends come over and family come over and they help you. And even if it would have been, they would have taken like the eldest daughter out, and but friends, have done, family have done what they can possibly do. Like one friend sent a load of food, like cook food,
Yeah.
that arrived at our door, and it
Oh,
was
that's so
too.
nice.
It was really, it was like like something had like arrived from the heavens. I was like, oh my god, it was really
Like
nice
unlimited
food.
food forever.
Yeah,
Oh, that's really
and then
nice,
there's
though,
just
isn't it? Very helpful.
very, yeah, people have really thought about it. And then bottles of like, we've been doing this thing with a group of friends called a woo, and it's
Okay.
a friend of mine set it up, and you it's like Secret Santa. You pick a name out, and then you send a gift without telling. You know, it just arrives. And mine
Yeah.
was loads of gin, and it was brilliant. Loads of flavored gin.
Will
I
you
was
get a
like,
moment to
okay.
drink the gin, though? That's the thing.
Oh yeah, I no,
Yeah.
I've slowly been sipping it.
Yeah. So that's the way to do it. Sip it. I mean, on any occasion, that's what you should do. Otherwise, it always end up in a disaster, couldn't it, with gin?
Exactly.
Oh,
But I will look
well,
forward to
that's
a day
great. I
when
mean,
I can
having
drink
the
more.
support. Oh, I think the connection
Oh,
went a
it
bit
went
funny
funny
there.
then.
Yeah.
I can see you again now.
Yeah, no, I was
It's gone
saying
funny.
it's really great that to hear that you've got the support of your family and friends, despite the fact that you can't actually see each other properly. It's great that everybody's coming up with these initiatives and sort of giving each other surprises. And just, for anybody in the situation at the moment, it is helpful to get through it. What has been like the it could be an item, it could be something that you love, music, something like that has really got you through this period of time, particularly with being pregnant as well? What would you say has really helped you?
There's been a couple of things. One was like, which actually kept making me cry, but in a positive, in a positive way, I suppose, was my mum wrote me a letter that went in my bag when I went to the hospital,
Yeah.
and that was nice. And then a friend of mine made me a playlist, and that was really helpful.
Yeah.
Um, but I suppose the thing that has kept me going the most has generally just been mates checking in, friends and family checking in, and just even if it's been an odd message. And I've done some Zoom meetings with friends where to meet Ada, and they haven't even wanted to see me; they've wanted to see her.
Yeah.
So I'm in front of the camera, and then
Oh.
and I've just been holding her, propping her up.
Yeah.
But that's been cute as well. Is that people haven't just because everybody's got something going on at the moment. There's nobody in the world that isn't in some form of, I don't know, dealing with something because of the situation. So it's
Yeah.
nice that they didn't just forget. You
Yeah.
makes you feel that people have still got your back even in this situation. And a friend of mine
Yeah.
who recently had a baby only a few months ago dropped off loads of clothes and just left them for me outside. And people have been really nice, really, really nice.
Yeah, really thoughtful and helpful as well. And like you say, during this time, I think in a way it sort of made people come together a bit more. I do a bit of work with communities, particularly Watford community, and I've seen that really people are pulling together because there's lots of businesses, there's individuals who are particularly vulnerable, whether it's the elderly or less fortunate, and people really are coming together, and charities helping each other. So even in personal circumstances like your own, it's just lovely to hear that people are supportive and are there for you.
I think
So
they
I
are.
was
It
actually
makes you feel.
I oh, say that again.
No, go, no, go. I think you went funny. It went all funny then.
I think the connection goes a bit, doesn't it, on these Instagram
Yeah,
lives?
yeah.
It's rather annoying. But yeah, no, I saw a statistic earlier, which was that 116 million babies are expected to be born during this COVID-19 period, which is it's quite, it's startling. It's so many that will be born in this unusual circumstance. So I guess having been through it yourself, what would be your top tips for this period of time for women who are in a similar situation?
I would say what I was saying before is like ask the support that you have got, like the midwives that we're lucky to have such an amazing resources of community midwives and midwives at the triage of the hospital and stuff. Ask them everything you can, like don't feel like it's too small, even if it, because sometimes when you Google things or even ask other people that have had experiences, I think there is no one labour that is the same.
Yeah.
And also because the times are changing so quickly, and each hospital are responding to it differently. So even the way that my hospital dealt with me is like, it's totally different now. And so I think when you're coming up to maybe a week before or even a few days before, I would then check again, like what the situation is at your hospital, because mine changed from day to day.
Yeah.
So that you're as prepared as you can be, I suppose. And then they say to do this anyway, but I really do think that it's important, especially with being difficult to get to the shops and supplies and nobody being necessarily able to get to you. It's just like, don't care about it. Like, stock up your house with, if you can, things that really make you happy. Mine is
Yeah.
Galaxy chocolate,
Yeah.
and I literally have
The essentials.
I had a ton of it. Yeah, the essentials. But I was like, as long as you've got nappies and and what you need, get something for yourself, like whatever it is that is just going to make you feel, for that, because you will have a teary moment, I'm sure. I've had teary moments, and it was like, right, crack open the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Like,
hand me the chocolate.
Yeah, literally need that. And also ask for help, I think, where you can. Although it's different types of help that you can get.
Yeah.
Because I asked a hypnobirthing teacher to help me before I went in, and that did really help. And it helped me plan what I should put in my bag, like my hospital bag. Something I would say was that the midwives are very busy, and you might not want them necessarily, with the current situation, going through your bags and things.
Yeah.
So the way I did it was almost like capsule packing, so that when I needed something, it was really easy to get when I was in the hospital. So that was quite handy.
Yeah, because I suppose, with them looking through your bag, there's always the risk there of, if they've got the virus on their hands or whatever, it's sort of, you want it to be the most organised bag that you could have, really. And especially as well, it's not like you can really help them go through the bag because you're focusing on, your labour. So yeah, that's a really good tip.
Yeah. What's something else that if you do end up going in on your own, we got like a hands-free thing that you put in your car that you can put your phone onto.
Yeah.
That holds the phone. One of those, so you could basically strap it, attach it to the bed or attach it somewhere in the room, so that if you want to FaceTime husband or partner or friend or whatever, you can, and it's hands-free. You don't have to hold it. So that was really handy too.
Yeah, because that's probably something that you may not actually think about necessarily, because as we've said, in the normal world, you'd have your family there with you. So you probably wouldn't.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't be FaceTiming.
Yeah, you wouldn't be thinking about FaceTiming. But in this unusual world that we've now been thrown into, that's definitely something to think about. Yeah, really, really good tip there. Another thing that I was wondering about, so there's antenatal classes and everything. You have to go and have your scans before, giving birth. So what did you have to do there? Because I know that a lot of women have had to sort of do Zoom calls for this. Did you have to do that, or were you still able to attend?
I attended my last midwife appointment. I think it was actually, I went to one on the day I went into labour. And I again was wearing a mask and things going into the surgery for that. So I was able to go in because they'd shut the surgery almost only for very few appointments. It was really quiet, so I was lucky in that sense. But since then I've had one midwife appointment where they came to us. So and that was, and actually it was in what I'm in now. It's like we've got this little outbuilding cabin where, so we did it in this room. So we were lucky enough, and then just basically shut the door for a few days afterwards. So, but it was a bit scary because I think it keeps the idea of having somebody in your house when at the moment you can't have anybody over it's
Yeah.
although that is changing, I suppose, now as
Yeah.
well. So, but at the time nobody could. But it's really it's hard to know what's the right thing to do.
And I guess the
With
same
appointments.
question for now post birth. How will you be seeing the nurses? How are you going to manage that now?
What's that? So now that we're home.
Yes, yeah.
Sorry, it went funny again.
I think the connection's not very good. Sorry about that.
No, don't be silly. It's probably
do,
I don't know
really.
if it's fine. So we've not been able to, normally you'd have health visitors and we phone call with them.
Yeah.
I haven't met them. And it's hard, you have a little red book and normally you get the baby weighed quite often and she's not had that. So I don't actually know how much she weighs. But I know she's growing, so I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
And then I will have to take her into a doctor's surgery, because she has to get like a 6-week check, and then you have to get the jabs done. So there would be no way of doing that apart from going in. And what concerns me is that I can wear a mask and I can wear gloves, but you can't do that for her. Like, she's too little, obviously, to wear it, and that feels really weird. That I'm going to be all masked up and everything, and then she isn't.
Well, I mean, it just comes back to the point, really, that it is so uncertain, isn't it? And you can only really do your best to take safety precautions. I mean, gosh, it is.
Yeah,
even down to just having your what would be normal appointments and checkups. It's proving so difficult.
Really difficult. You. I know a friend of my husband couldn't go to the scan, and that is and it's their first baby, and that's really sad. That's a really special moment to see your baby for the first time, and you can't have your husband with you or your partner. It's pretty tough.
Yeah. Oh, the connection's gone a bit funny there. Can you still hear me?
I can.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, so your friend she's going through the first birth, and has she had the baby now, did you say?
No, so she's actually not due until the end of the year, or autumn time. And then I've got a cousin. My cousin is also due. I think she's got 7 weeks.
Yeah,
7 weeks ago. So,
gosh, it's all happening. Well, yeah, like I say, I mean, there's meant to be they've estimated about 116 million babies that will be born in the COVID situation. I mean, how they can really put a number on it at the moment, I don't know, because we don't know when this is going to come to an end. So I guess, it's just one of those things, but it just gives you a bit of a perspective on it, really. It's a lot of people that will be affected for these special moments. So, and were people still able to send you, gifts for the baby and everything like that? Were you quite happy to receive them?
It was a bit mad. So
I bet you had a lot.
Yeah, we were really lucky, and we did get lots of people messaging us saying, do you want us to send it, or shall we not send anything, or what should we do? And we didn't obviously want to be, we just said we didn't, whatever anyone wants to do. We were like, we'll leave it up to you, sort of thing. But what we did is we kind of created a bit of a quarantine area. So when things came through the post, we would let them, we put them in the doorway, and then we just like barricade them in and leave them for a few days, so that I just left them there. Unless we got some flowers and things through, and when we got them, it was like operation, put your gloves on, open the box up, have to and then antibac
wipe everything down.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was quite weird. That was really weird. And our little girl Amelie was like, oh my gosh, I touched it. Do I need to wash my hands? And she is so sick of washing her hands.
Well, we all need nice hand cream to keep our hands then moisturised afterwards, don't we? That's what I've been doing, because otherwise they just end up too dry.
I've been trying. I wouldn't show you my hands at the moment. They are just because obviously with all the amount of nappies changing as well, you're just constantly washing your hands. And so it is. Yeah, they are. Really, I feel like they've aged about 50 years.
Yeah, it's one way to age a part of your body quickly, isn't it, really? So
Yeah.
so now lockdown has lifted slightly. It's not too much. I mean, I'm still taking it very much as, you know, stay indoors as much as you can. Are you able to get outside much with the girls, with your husband, take the new baby out? Have you gotten to that stage yet?
Just. So we've done a couple of walks around our local area. We're really lucky. We've got like a natural, like a nature reserve. We didn't even know it was there. That's the irony. We've been living in this area for nearly 5 years, I think it is. And we literally stumbled across it. We're like, oh, this is nice.
Isn't it amazing what you can find when you're forced to go into the outdoors?
Literally. You're like, oh my gosh, the light. And that's been lucky, but we did venture a bit. But when the lockdown was lifted, like you said, a little bit, I really wanted to go. This was just me being like, I want to go somewhere different, just for a walk. And we went 15, and only 15 minutes, because it was kind of like a woodland area, and apparently it was meant to be beautiful for bluebells. And I was like, oh, that'd be lovely to go again, different and whatever. And really annoyingly, we got there and the car park was rammed, that we just didn't get out of the car. We didn't get out because we couldn't. It was like how we could have got because we'd have had to have a buggy, and like the pram, and then having a 4-year-old. It was just like, this is impossible. So we had to drive back again. And our daughter in the car was like, "Are you actually kidding me?" We were like. It was like, because it was a bit exciting to be in the car, even just
freedom. Yeah. Oh,
because I've not been.
But then you go and you're thinking, because you'll be going out for an outdoors walk, then it'll be fine. But not anymore.
Nope.
Like, these are the places to be now.
Yeah, I know. Literally, it's like the hottest nightclub to go is to the local park. But
yeah.
No,
forget the nightclubs. It's the local nature reserve now.
Oh yeah, I know. No. But it's the worry is that I'm definitely been. I think maybe having just had the baby and stuff, and also the fact that we went through the whole thing of me going into hospital on my own, and then we've been following the rules. We don't then want it to be ruined or whatever by the fact that we've then had to kind of go for a walk. You know, it's really.
Yeah.
It's kind of really annoying though, because there are lots of people that are following the rules, but there are definitely some people that aren't. And those
without a doubt.
And we've seen it out and about, and it means that you kind of have it puts me really on edge.
I can imagine. Well, especially, you know, with your newborn and your very young daughter who's 4 years old, it's a very sensitive situation, and I bet you're on high alert, like, you know, protect.
Stay alert. Stay alert.
Stay alert. Yeah, of course. As Boris has said. Have you seen? There's been lots of memes going around, and there's one of Boris, and he was singing "Staying alert, staying alert."
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
I'll send it to you.
Oh no.
But he's
definitely.
Go on.
No, go.
Well, I was just going to say, I think I've asked you everything that really I wanted to know about this situation. So thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you again after, you know, a year ago when we met. And yeah, I'm just really, really glad that you're safe and well. And in the end, everything has worked out. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and I hope you keep safe as well. Well, and after all this, we'll meet up properly.
Of course, yeah, definitely. I'd love to meet the girls as well.
Lovely, thank you.
All right, thanks so much, Juliet. Enjoy the rest of your
Sunday.
No worries.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.